Alrighty. Mr. Hallinan, let's get it started. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 8th day of November 2021. This is a municipal caucus of the Jersey City Municipal Council in effort to adhere to social distancing protocols and best practices imposed by the city and state authorities. The city of Jersey City has canceled all public meetings and closed non-essential services as of March 16th, 2020 until further notice. As a result, this council caucus will be held virtually as a video conference with public access. We had a scheduled 4 p.m. start. The clock on my computer is showing 4:01 p.m. May I have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley is not here yet. Councilperson Prinzeri.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Here.
Councilperson Saleh.
Here.
Councilperson Solomon will be absent today. Councilperson Robinson.
Here.
Councilperson Lavarro. Not here yet. Oh, here he is.
Yeah.
Councilperson Lavarro.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman.
Here.
Okay, we have 7 members in attendance at 4:01 p.m. In addition, at the time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, November 5th, 2021 at 1:45 p.m. to the Municipal Council, Mayor, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Council President, would you like me to take it from the top?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, moving on to our first reading ordinances. If I can just read the first 2 into the record. We do have our bond counsel on the call, on the meeting. So the first reading, item 3.1, City Ordinance 21-073 is an ordinance of the City of Jersey City and the County of Hudson, New Jersey, providing for a special emergency appropriation of $10 million, providing for the payment of contractually required severance liabilities resulting from layoffs or retirement of employees. I want to do them together, if that's okay, Council President. Okay. Item 3.2, City Ordinance 21-074 is an ordinance of the City of Jersey City and the County of Hudson, New Jersey, authorizing the execution and delivery of subsidy agreement with the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency to secure the payment and principal of interest up to $169,810,000 bonds and/or project notes to be issued by said agency in connection with the implementation of the Bayfront redevelopment project. Okay, so council members, we do have our bond counsel, Jim Fearon. He is here to answer questions and go over the bond ordinances, any questions that you guys may have. He's here to answer, and I guess we'll start with the first bond ordinance, Jim.
I can cue it up if you'd like me to. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you.
Jim is very muffled.
Okay, I will talk even louder. Can you hear me any better now?
A little better.
I will continue to shout louder as I can, and tell me if you can make it out. So actually, I can try to find a microphone if I need to. I thought this was working. So the first ordinance is a special emergency ordinance for employee severance liabilities. The city has done a similar one in 2020 for, I think, $13 million. And I believe they did a similar one in 2019 or 2018. It's a simple debt authorization, and it acts as a special emergency note, and we would borrow by the end of the year. Does anybody have questions on this one?
Could we get, and maybe, Jim, this is not for you, but to the business administrator and the Finance Department, a list of the employees that are receiving these contractually required severance liabilities for paying.
Councilman, this is Kyle from Budget. I'll get that for you. So I just gotta get the list from HR. You know, it'll detail all the people that have been separated for this year. So
Could we include in that, please, the whether they retired or laid off?
Yep.
The amount of their salary is at the time and that they separated with the organization, and then how much the payment is or the payout to them is for their, these are for their accumulated absences, correct?
yes, I'll get that.
Councilman, as Kai gets that report together, I just want to make sure the council's aware that these accumulated absences are specifically for retirements. We haven't had any layoffs this year. Just didn't want to concern any employees out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 2020 plan for these can you also include whether you're looking to replacements for these retired positions or whether you intend to keep them vacant?
We'll probably include that as we work through the budget for next year, and as we continue to go through organizational chart reviews and stuff of that nature. So that's kind of where we're at.
And we'll get you that report, Councilman, but just from a general perspective, most of these are from police and fire, and they are replaced as according to their table of organization.
Did the 2021 budget, was there any money set aside for these payouts, these payments?
No, that's what this ordinance allows us to spread the cost out over 5 years. So kind of gives us burden on the current year budget instead of trying to estimate, such a large number. It's kind of more manageable, to go this route. And so next year, whatever that we authorize, that'll be the amount.
I'm aware of that. In past years, we've budgeted for it in the past. It's kind of been sporadic. Some years we have, some years we haven't. I can't recall exactly which years we've done it at this point. And so I'm asking if it was, if any monies were appropriated. Can you also give us, these are 5-year notes, right?
You are allowed to finance 1-year notes rolled over for a total of 5 years with 1/5 of the original amount paid each year. So yes, 5 years of borrowing, but each note will be actually 1 year long.
Can you give us the balance of any of these similar special emergency appropriations over the past 5 years?
Sure. Let me see if I have that information handy. There was a 2020 borrowing and a 2018 borrowing that I believe are still outstanding for these purposes. I believe that 2018 was originally $14.5 million, and it's been paid down each year since then. So I believe the balance that we are about to roll over this year will be down to $2,900,000. But it was an original $14.5 million in 2018 with the 1/5 pay downs each year, including this year. And then I believe there was a $13 million borrowing the tail end of last year, and that will have a $2.6 million pay down this year, so it'll be rolled over at the differential. So the 14.5 and a 13 were the two historic numbers.
And so there was nothing, we did nothing in 2019 and nothing in 2017.
I believe that's correct with 19. With 17, I have to just confirm because it's possible. No, I don't. There was not in 2017. That's correct. I was just wondering if we may have been up on it, but we're not.
Great. Okay, I'll wait for that information then. Thank you. I have no further questions, Council President.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Go ahead, Sean. Thank you.
Should I move on to 3.2, because we were covering 3.1 and 3.2 together, and I just, that was the 3.1. 3.2 is a little bit more of a story, but it's all hopefully familiar. In October of 2018, this council approved a bond ordinance in the amount of $170 million for the purpose of acquiring the Bayfront property. I think that's the old Honeywell site, and to do some environmental remediation of sorts, some demolition, but mainly some infrastructure improvements. The initial borrowing that the city made was back in December of 2018 and January of 2019. The December 2018 borrowing was because there had to be a year-end down payment paid to Honeywell, so that borrowing was down to $15 million. That covered the down payment and an escrow for the demolition of an existing structure. The residual portion of the purchase price, which had to close in January of 2019 under the acquisition contract, was an $83.4 million borrowing that closed in January of 2019. So the initial borrowing tranche was roughly $98.4 million. Those notes have rolled over since those original issuance dates of December 2018 and January 2019. There has been some additional borrowing. It was for a combination of paying maturing interest and mostly also for paying additional infrastructure expenses of the JCRA in, as I said, clearing the land and building the utilities. These have been included in your annual note issuances in December and January since then. And we are coming to you now with this proposal because this is the time when 3 years into the transaction, there is the first minimum required principal pay down under the local bond law. And the expectation originally, I understand, was that by this time, there would have been land sales that would have generated enough money to cover the minimum pay downs and more. Because the original expectation, and I think it's still the expectation, is that the land is going to be sold off relatively quickly, and that we're never going to get to a bond issue. I remember having this discussion once with the council a year or so ago, when the question was raised, why not include this in a bond issue? And we said because we expected that land sales were going to retire these notes in the short term, so it makes no sense to go to long term on them. And that's still the case. But what has happened is that we are now approaching very rapidly the minimum paydowns. Now, the paydowns under the local bond law are based on a combination of the amount you borrowed and the useful life of the project. And it's a mathematical formula, but what it works out to is for the original $15 million of borrowing that we had in December of 2018, in order to cross our next threshold of December of 2021, which is next month, we have to budget and pay $189,900, so roughly $190,000. So that's been included in the city budget for this year. The next pay down, though, is in January, and if we were to roll the notes over as city notes in January, the minimum pay down based on that original $83.4 million borrowing would be $1,055,700. So this is the rule that we have to abide by as long as we remain in bond anticipation notes. And again, it was unanticipated that we would have this issue because it was originally anticipated there would be land sales by now. And why haven't there been land sales? I assume COVID. But you know, we can talk to the JCRA about their particular forecasts. The purpose of this ordinance is to recharacterize the city's debt authorization away from being city notes and into being JCRA notes or bonds that are backstopped by a subsidy agreement with the city. Now, the city has used this structure before, most recently in the Pathside project, where the JCRA would issue debt that would be full faith and credit obligation of the city. Instead of you paying debt service, you would pay subsidy payments to the JCRA, and the JCRA would use that subsidy payment to pay debt service, its own debt service. The entire reason for doing this structure is to avoid the mandatory principal payments that would begin in earnest in January. As I say, there's one in December, but we have to pay it. But the large one is in January. This transaction, because it's a financing by the JCRA, would be subject to the review and findings by the local finance board. But the intent, everyone's intent, is to not increase the city's liability, but rather to recharacterize it away from being a city note to being a city-secured JCRA note. And again, the sole purpose of doing this effort is to circumvent, if the local finance board allows us, the $1 million to $1.4 million, you know, as it increases year by year, pay down requirement that otherwise would be applicable. Now, I'm sure you have questions. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Questions?
What impact would this have on the city's credit score, if any?
Well, I'm not a financial analyst, but it should have no impact net because you're replacing one category of debt with another category of debt. We'll have a temporary increase for 60 days roughly in your statutory net debt. You'll still be within your limitation, but until we would be basically issuing the JCRA notes and then retiring the city notes, and during that short period of overlap, for bookkeeping purposes, you will have a higher amount of authorized debt. As soon as those notes are paid off, it'll be canceled out, and you'll be back to just the same debt that you have now.
Someone else?
So you mentioned that the sale of the land would the proceeds from that would offset these debts.
Yes.
Or pay down these debts. So do you know if or if anyone else knows who might be on the call whether we've closed on those two developers who broke ground at Bayfront, Penrose, and I forget who the second one was. Have we closed on that, and what were the proceeds from that land sale?
I have no information on that.
What's that, sir?
I say I have no information on that.
Okay, does anyone have information from the administration or from the council? Members on the committee? Or the JCRA?
I'm having, that's why I logged on late. I'm having some computer trouble, but I don't have those numbers right in front of me, but I can get you that information.
So would the plan then be, assuming the sale is closed? I know you ticked off the payment schedule there, James, Mr. Fearon. And then I didn't take the notes down on what those specifics are. If you could provide us kind of a write-up on the timetable of those payments, that'd be great. But is the plan from the administration side and the JCRA side then to take the proceeds from those land sales and to simply pay down this bond, and or is it just to make the minimum installment payments or required payments kind of moving forward and to tuck the money away? I've only got 2 months left here, but I would chime in and say that it should be to pay down, right? To take those proceeds and to pay down the $169 million with whatever it is that whatever we obtained from the land sales itself.
That is the expectation and the plan, as I understand it, and it is set forth there in the form of the subsidy agreement, which is in your packet. If you have an opportunity to look at section 302, there is a waterfall of uses of the proceeds, and the expectation is that it will be used to retire debt, but there's also an allowance that if there is, for example, a current year JCRA operating need for money for the infrastructure improvements that hasn't been borrowed yet, they could possibly use some of the money for that current year infrastructure improvements as an alternative to having to go out and do an additional note issuance for that. It was designed to avoid the issuance expense of having to do a second note issue for that current year capital needs for the infrastructure improvements. But that is certainly the expectation. And I also want to be clear about the amount of debt. We currently have between the two tranches, the December and the January tranche, we currently have $117.6 million worth of debt outstanding. The bond ordinance authorized $170 million. The subsidy agreement authorizes $169,810, and that's basically $170 million minus the pay down, because we don't want to extend your obligation, your commitment to $170 million. We just want to translate it, and that's where it is now. It's going to be $169,800 going forward. But you've only issued 117, and when the JCRA issues its notes, they will probably throw in another $5 million for capital improvements for this year. So you could expect something in the 123 range, 120, 125, something like that. But you will not actually get to the 170 unless and until there's more expenses. So I wanted to make that clear.
My final request here is could get a copy of a couple of things. The proposals from the two developers, again, Penrose or Bayfront Development Partners.
I'm sorry, the user is not available. And
oh my gosh, I got an automated message as a response. If I could get the proposals from the two developers whose proposals were accepted, bids were accepted.
Did you give me the resolution for this?
Who was that speaking?
This too? I thought they were.
Can you please mute yourself?
Oh, because I gave you the information for.
Or the resolution not there, right?
There is so like this itself.
Hold on 1 second, guys.
Weird. Can I proceed?
Just as I want to make sure. Mute. Okay, go ahead, Councilperson Bavaro.
Sure. So just a copy of the proposals from the two developers, their proposed projects, a copy of their redevelopment agreements for both redevelopers, and then their purchase agreements if in fact that's already been completed. And I'm just looking for electronic copies. I'm not looking for this 1,000 pages that would come with all of that around that particular. So could the administration please furnish that?
Yes, Councilman, we'll make sure we get that to you tomorrow in PDF form.
Great, thank you. I have no further questions, Council President.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All righty. On to item 3.3, City Ordinance 21-075 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 9, Parking for the Disabled of the Jersey City Code, designating a reserved parking space at various locations throughout the city. Any questions or comments on this ordinance? Okay, hearing none. Before I move on, I just wanted to mark Councilperson Ridley present at 4:10 p.m. So we now have 8 council members present at 4:10 p.m. On to our second reading ordinances. Item 4.1, City Ordinance 21-071 is an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting amendments to the residential, public, quasi-public retail zone of the Ocean Bayview redevelopment plan. Any questions or comments on the second reading ordinance? Okay, next it is item 4.2, City Ordinance 21-072 is an ordinance authorizing the execution of a temporary construction easement and access easement agreement between the City of Jersey City and 160 Lafayette Associates, and authorizing Lafayette Associates to install and maintain 2 monitoring wells in Reverend Urkel Webb Park, also known as Lafayette Park.
I believe I had asked questions at the last council meeting about this. I don't believe we received responses on that. I'd have to go back to my notes to figure that out, but there was a question essentially had to do with why the requirement for these monitoring wells, and was there any prior or expectation of I think contamination in these in this area.
Councilman, this is Barca. Hi. Director Weller is not on the call, but I'll make sure we get that information to you before Wednesday.
Thank you, Barca.
Sure.
Anyone else have any questions or comments on that ordinance? Right. Okay. Next will be the public request for a hearing. At this point, we have 3 speakers listed. On to our petitions and communications, items 6.1 through 6.15. Any questions or comments? Okay, and we have office communications 7.1. Any questions or comments? And then we have our report of directors, which is none, and we have our claims. And then on to our resolutions. Okay. On to resolution item 10.1, resolution 21-752 is a resolution authorizing the insertion of special items of revenues and appropriations in calendar year 2021 municipal budget pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-87. Any questions or comments on this resolution? Okay. Item 10.2, City Resolution 21-753 is a resolution of the City of Jersey City authorizing the circulation of preliminary official statement and final official statement in connection with the sale of certain bond anticipation notes and special emergency notes of the city and approving continuing disclosure undertaking with respect to said notes and authorizing and/or ratifying other actions in connection therewith. Any questions or comments on this resolution?
To Mr. Metro, for the various notes here, can you provide me with the bond ordinances that apply to this, these various notes?
Yeah, yep, absolutely, Councilman. This is just to release our OS for the consideration of those notes, but I'll be happy to provide you those through Jim as well. Thank you.
Great.
Anyone else have any questions? Okay, item 10.3, City Resolution 21-754 is a resolution ratifying an agreement with the Jersey City Employment and Training designating the Jersey City Employment and Training as administrative entity for the city, for the Jersey City Workforce Initiative, for the Jersey City Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Area pursuant to Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. I apologize about that. Any questions or comments?
So a comment, and it's kind of a rhetorical comment or question. At the very last, at the end of the first page, the effective period of this agreement is July 1st, 2020, and terminating on June 30th, 2021. And today is November 8th, 2021. And so my question, I guess, is there a point to this agreement, given that it's already been, that the period, that its effective period is essentially completed? And where is the next agreement for Jersey City Employment and Training for the following year, following June 30th, 2021, from July 1st, 2021 till June 30th, 2022?
Someone on the line?
Council, we do have Director Carmen Gandula. I think she might have stepped away, but let me just check.
There you go, Carmen.
Hi,
You're on mute.
this is, it's the pass-through resolution for JSEP, right? So I think this was delayed a little bit. regards to getting it executed, so to the execution of the date and with everything considered, they still need this in order to move forward with the ratification of Producer.
They need it for what? Because the period is over, Carmen. It literally says it ends on July 30th, 2021, this agreement, June 30th, 2021. So
if we don't have it, they can't pay their bills.
So how did over this period of July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021, I'm sure they had bills over that period. This is the effective period of the grant. Have they just been footing the bill, fronting all of the money up front and hoping that we're going to reimburse them at some point?
Yeah.
How does this work?
And again, it's just a pass-through resolution. So, and actually had a meeting this morning with Catrice and just organizing some steps, and the council president was with me in regards to where they are in their budget. Right now they have a $2.3 million budget and some other things that are still left outstanding. So I would say that in regards to trying to get this item passed, I'll follow up with questions that you may have specifically, Rolando, so that we can get this kind of sort of in order. But I did meet with Catrice this morning with the council president and try to get a sense and understanding of their structuring, restructuring, and what they have and what we need to undertake with them. Yeah.
So let me tell you this. Look, it gives me no pleasure. Like I said, I've got less than 6 weeks here left on the city council. I'd rather not have this conversation, but for the viewing public, I guess, if folks are watching, this is the same agency that in 2019, the executive director was the appointee there, was indicted and arrested for 26 counts of embezzlement. Just this past April, both at the state and federal level, that official was indicted formally, both by the feds as well as the state agency, both for embezzlement by the feds for this agency and then for bribery charges, I think, at the school board for his actions in that criminal enterprise that he was doing there. And so back in 2019, I called for investigations into this and urged that we, at the time, put in some controls to ensure that there was sufficient oversight. This is not to suggest that anybody now who's running the agency is doing anything inappropriate or illegal there, but I would hope that we had learned, and so now the onus falls on this council and folks who will come in and with the next, when sworn in on January 1st, to ensure that there's appropriate oversight around this. The fact that this contract, and I say this respectfully to the council, the fact that this contract is already expired as of June 30th, 2021, this agreement is be alarming to folks, frankly, that where is the kind of the oversight in ensuring how are they paying for their bills? As I said, they have to pay for their bills, and in fact, they should have been paying their bills long ago already at this point, and we should have seen this contract long ago. Back in 2019, when a lot of this came to light, I called for stiffer controls and to put into the agreement this same agreement that was approved last year. I asked for there to be amendments to it to ensure that the board there was greater oversight and that the council had some input on the composition of that board. In addition, had asked for certain language to be included. I'm going to ask for that same language to be included here and urge that the council kind of adopt that to provide the appropriate financial oversight and management. A couple of things I want to point out. Page 12 of the agreement states that the employment and training shall provide written reports of the city, no less often than once each quarter, on levels of program and expenditures, as well as other Jersey City employment training program activities being conducted in the furtherance of the approved plan for the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act. So I'm going to ask for copies of the 3rd and 4th quarter of those reports from 2019, all of 2020, and all of the quarters in 2021 for the record. Furthermore, it says page 12, and that same thing says in that agreement that JSEP shall procure audits of their funds and program activities as required by the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act and work to resolve questions or irregularities identified through such audits. I would assume that there were a number of audits, a number of irregularities found in 2019, the year that the acts of embezzlement were conducted, and would want to know that that there was actions taken to address those irregularities. And I say irregularities in quotes, that criminal enterprise. And so I'm asking for copies of both the 2019 and 20 audits and any of the responses, management responses from that addressing those irregularities. Page 13 of the agreement states that the city shall receive bank reconciliations from the JSEP Executive Board, providing control and the proper audit trail is required under the Act. And I would ask that if it hasn't been furnished to the city, that the city would demand that JSEP provide that for both 2019, 2020, and 2021 bank reconciliations, and that such reconciliations be provided to the council as well. And then lastly, no, not lastly, there's also on page 13, it says that the city shall maintain and exercise a semi-annual internal audit review process of the program to verify, it says the city shall verify all revenues and expenditures to comply with the rules, regulations, and guidelines of the Act and other federal, state, and local laws. We developed, we created a division of internal audit, I think it was called, and I specifically requested that that ordinance be amended to include Jersey City Employment and Training at the time, so that the internal audit would be, that office would provide some oversight there. I would assume that this portion that's in the agreement would fall under their purview to conduct such a semi-annual internal audit of that of their process of the program and to verify all the revenues and expenditures are complying with the rules of the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act. And so I call upon the administration to also furnish that audit, and if they don't have that, to ensure that such an audit is completed. Lastly, I'll ask for a copy of the 2020 and, if available, the 2021 Workforce Investment Opportunity Act plan, which is also supposed to be part of that. And then what I would ask the council to consider is that a couple of amendments to the agreement, and I'm happy to send this over to everyone. I just worked on these today. If you look down at page 10, where it reads, there's a paragraph that reads, as the one-stop entity, the Jersey City Employment Training Program Board of Directors is hereby granted authority to establish a Jersey City Employment and Training Program Executive Board appointed by the mayor. And I would add that it should insert immediately after that, with the advice and consent of the city council, comprised of 9 members to act as JSEP's governing board of directors. And then in page 13, it talks about the mayor shall review and approve the Workforce Investment Opportunity Plan for the Jersey City Workforce Investment Opportunity Act, prepared by JSEP and approved by the Workforce Investment Board, et cetera, et cetera. I would add after that, that the city council shall also review, add language that says the city council shall also review and approve by resolution the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act plan for the Jersey City Workforce Investment Opportunity Act, prepared by JSEP and approved by Workforce Investment Board. And actually, and then my last request is that we get a list of all of the board members and the meetings in 2021 and 2020, 20 and 21, and how many meetings. It's my understanding that there was a problem with achieving quorum at the meetings over this period, and would like to know how many meetings actually were held, how many meetings were held without quorum or not held because of a lack of quorum, and the attendance for the members who participated in those meetings or did not participate in those meetings. If I could be furnished with all of that prior to Wednesday, I would appreciate.
Well, let me just say this too, though. I did meet with Patrice today with Carmen, and Patrice took office in 2019. JSEP was going through a whole lot of they was going through investigations, and so Patrice got hired, and when she got hired, it was like a web that she walked herself into, to be perfectly honest. And so now at this point, because her funding is basically state and federal, she has strict guidelines that she must follow, and she is following them. This is something that should have been done, but was not done because of whatever reason, because of COVID hit, she couldn't get in touch with the state neither. It's a whole lot that's going on with JSEP, but we can also have a closed session with her so she can bring us up to date on the guidelines that she's putting in place to make sure nothing like this would ever happen again. Okay, so we definitely
I don't
can
know,
do that.
Council President, respectfully, I don't think that a closed session is necessitated.
Well, I like I said, we can, because there's a lot that was going on, and others would like to know exactly what is going on with the investigation and things like that. So there's certain things we cannot speak about openly. So that's why the council can have a closed session. All right, so that's what it is right now, but she walked into this web in 2019, so she is definitely following the strict guidelines that was given to her to straighten out this kind of web.
And I would just additionally ask, Council President, is that community development also funded JSEP, and as a funder and trying to continue with program management, and as former recipients that used to manage us, we wanted to get a sense of where she was and what was going on, and kind of I asked that question today, like, what do you need in regards to your compliance? Some of the things that we need to certify in our audit, and in addition to some of the finance things. This item today is to get them through what they need to get through. Yes. A lot of these mechanisms are already in discussion to get them across the board. So everything that you're requesting, we're kind of sort of already highlighted, and that we would get it there, and you know, and that's just to clarify some of the your first question as to why, what you saw, and then where we are now.
Okay. All right.
So this is Councilman LeVar. I'll close with this, which is that a closed session, if necessary and appropriate. I'm happy to be participating in that, but my requests still kind of stand. These are contractually, they're on the agreement, are required for JSEP to provide it back in 2020 in the March 2020 agreement that was approved by the council at that time. In this agreement, it's required, and so they should be furnishing these as part of that web of unwinding that web. It's just these are basic compliance. I've been a grant administrator, and these are basic compliance requirements that as opposed
she'll
to
provide what she has. She'll provide what she has. That won't be a problem. What she has, she will provide. She will. What she has, she will provide.
Yeah, I mean, these should be done, so it should be, I should be able to have them before the council meeting on Wednesday in order to, unless they're not completed, which should again cause red flags, nothing against her.
Right,
in no way
against her.
Yeah, it's not personal. Right. I'm not suggesting or implying anything there. I'm sure she's got a lot on her plate and hasn't helped that, but these are the requirements, and so we should demand that she live up to those expectations. So,
yeah.
I yield my time.
All right. Anyone, any other questions for Carmen? Okay, thank you, Carmen.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Sean.
Item 10.4, resolution 21-755, resolution authorizing accelerated tax sale.
Is there someone here to speak on this?
Yep, thank you, Councilman. This is just the continuation of our annual accelerated tax sale. We've been doing this year over year since 2009, maybe a little earlier than that. And basically what this allows is the city to realize outstanding tax obligations that are come due at the end of the year. So
these are for people who haven't paid their taxes, correct?
Correct. This is after the completion of the fourth quarter's payments. If there's still an outstanding obligation, we'll advertise in the newspaper and notify those individuals that they still have an outstanding balance. And if it's not paid after that, we process to put those proceeds to an accelerated tax sale, in which there's a bid process.
So I know that people still have time to pay their fourth quarter till November 10th with the grace period. What I'd like is information about folks who have not paid who are delinquent up to their third quarter payments. Again, just kind of given the communications and the delays and getting the bills out on the third quarter, would like the administration to furnish a list of all of the taxpayers who are currently delinquent with their third quarter tax payments to date.
Yep, Councilman, we can give you that as well as what's outstanding for the fourth quarter, even though the due date's still to come.
Okay.
Sean?
Okay, sorry about that. Item 10.5, Resolution 21-756, resolution authorizing refunds due to overpayments for property tax accounts. Item 10.6, Resolution 21-757 is a resolution to cancel 2019, 2020, and 2021 real estate taxes on Block 12809, Lot 17, due to lot consolidation. Any questions or comments? Item 10. If you have a question, just interrupt me, please. Item 10.7, Resolution 21-758 is a resolution authorizing the settlement of assessment appeals filed before the Tax Court of New Jersey on Block 18901, Lot 19.01. Item 10.8, Resolution 21-759 is a resolution authorizing the settlement of assessment appeals filed before the Tax Court of New Jersey on various properties. Item 10.9, Resolution 21-760, resolution honoring the life and legacy of Teresa R. Oglesby. Item 10.10, Resolution 21-761 is a resolution amending the acceptance of a grant award from the State of New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Division of Criminal Justice, State Fiscal Year 21 Body Worn Camera Grant Program. Item 10.11, Resolution 21-762 is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to apply for funds from the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Division of Highways, Traffic Safety, Drive Sober and or Get Pulled Over Grant, Fiscal Year 2022. Item 10.12, Resolution 21-763 is a resolution ratifying the emergency contract award to Cummings Inc. for the removal and replacement of the motor in Engine 8 fire pumper for the Department of Public Safety, Division of Fire. Item 10.13, Resolution 21-764 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Schneider Electric Buildings Americas Inc. to assure performance and savings of energy savings plan for which it has contracted to design and manage implementation. Item 10.14, Resolution 21-765 is a resolution authorizing the award of a competitively bid contract to Modular Streetscape Systems, can't speak today, to install and operate a secure bike parking system in the City of Jersey City. Item 10.15, Resolution 21-766 is a resolution authorizing the renewal of a contract with the Jersey City Medical Center to perform medical services and medical examinations for civilian and ununiformed employees and also applicant employees for the city of Jersey City. Item 10.16, Resolution 21-767 is a resolution ratifying the emergency contract award to Amber Air for the repair to the refrigerant leak and also a need to convert the chiller at Persian Field Ice Skating Rink. Item 10.17, Resolution 21-768 is a resolution authorizing a month-to-month extension of a contract to Adeline U.S. Northeast LLC to provide janitorial services for the Department of Public Works Division of Building and Street Maintenance. Item 10.18, Resolution 21-769 is a resolution authorizing the renewal of a contract with Econ Mechanical Corporation for sports lighting and scoreboards at various ball fields for the Department of Public Works Division of Park Maintenance. Item 10.19, Resolution 21-770 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Waste Corp Manufacturing LLC for the purchase and delivery of various open top roll-off containers through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative for the Department of Public Works Division of Sanitation. Item 10.20, Resolution 21-771 is a resolution authorizing the renewal of an open end contracts with Dave's Transmission Zolan Corporation A&B Undercar Repair, AGM Transmissions LLC, and the Barry's Auto Sales LLC to provide light automotive repairs for the Department of Public Works Division of Automotive Maintenance. Item 10.21, Resolution 21-772 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Cambria Automotive for the purchase and delivery of various new Mack granite dump vehicles through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative for the Department of Public Works Division of Automotive. Item 10.22, Resolution 21-773 is a resolution rejecting all bids received by the City of Jersey City on October 27, 2020 for transmission repairs for the Department of Public Works Division of Automotive Maintenance. Item 10.23, Resolution 21-774 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Route 23 Auto Mall LLC for the purchase and delivery of various 2022 F550 W5H green crew cabs under the state contract for the Department of Public Works Division of Automotive. Item 10.24, Resolution 21-775 is a resolution authorizing award of a contract to Route 23 Auto Mall LLC for the purchase and delivery of various 2022 F550 W5H white crew cabs under the New Jersey state contract with the Department of Public Works Division of Automotive. Item 10.25, Resolution 21-776 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Route 23 Auto Mall LLC for the purchase and delivery of various 2022 F550 W5H gray crew regular, I'm assuming, crew cabs under New Jersey state contract for the Department of Public Works Division of Automotive. Item 10.26, Resolution 21-777 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to North Jersey Bobcat for the purchase and delivery of various Bobcats for the Department of Public Works Division of Automotive through the New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing Alliance, Bergen County Coop. Item 10.27, Resolution 21-778 is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City authorizing the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services acceptance of a grant from the National Recreation and Parks Association for Healthy Greens Jersey City Vertical Farm Program and the execution of a memorandum of understanding. Item 10.28, Resolution 21-779 is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City authorizing the execution of a mortgage subordination agreement and to approve permanent financing upon completion of the project affecting property known as 311-315 Martin Luther King Drive, Jersey City, New Jersey, Block 23101 and Lot 32.01. Item 10.29, Resolution 21-780 is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City authorizing the subgrantee agreement with Team Wilderness for administering the city's COVID-19 CARES Act funds for the Community Development Block Grant Public Services Program under the program year April 1st, 2020 through March 31st, 2022. Item 10.30, Resolution 21-781 is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City recommending the provision of the Community Development Block Grant and Public and Community Facilities Fiscal Year 2020 unallocated funding to Jersey City Connection Center, Hudson Pride Connection Center for the Hudson Pride Center Building Out Project, 3075 Kennedy Boulevard, Jersey City, New Jersey. Excuse me. Item 10.31, Resolution 21-782 is a resolution requesting New Jersey Department of Transportation to grant a 6-month extension of time for the award of construction contract for Caven Point and Liberty Harbor roadway preservation project number 21-001-E for the Department of Administration, Division of Engineering, Traffic and Transportation. Item 10.32, Resolution 21-783 is a resolution authorizing the award of professional service contract to LS Engineering Associates Corporation in connection with engineering, design, and construction administration services for the Bavonia Marion Park improvements, project number 2019-038 for the Department of Administration, Division of Architecture. Item 10.33, Resolution 21-784 is a resolution authorizing the award of a professional service contract to LS Engineering Associates Corporation in connection with the engineering, design, and construction administration services for LaPointe Park improvements, project number 2019-037 for the Department of Administration, Division of Architecture. Item 10.34, Resolution 21-785 is a resolution authorizing the award of professional service contract to LS Engineering Associates Corporation in connection with engineering, design, and construction administration services for the Fairmont Park improvements, project number 2019-045 for the Department of Administration, Division of Architecture. Item 10.35, Resolution 21-786 is a resolution amending the award of a professional service agreement with the law office of Werner Suarez to represent the City of Jersey City in the matter of Ann Doyle. Item 10.36, Resolution 21-787 is a resolution supporting the Diwali Day Act, urging Congress to declare Diwali a national holiday. And lastly, but not least, item 10.37, Resolution 21-788 is a resolution authorizing a license agreement between New Jersey Transit Corporation and the City of Jersey City. Any questions or comments? Okay, council members, before we make the motion, I just had one little order of business. I believe we received, and I know Councilperson Solomon is not here for the caucus, but I believe we received the green light to remove the franchise ordinance item 11.15, ordinance number 21-064 from the tabled agenda for consideration on Wednesday night. I would just need a motion from a council member in a second in order to do so, and we can go right to the vote. The fire department has gave its okay and green light and did the investigation with also traffic engineering to make sure there was no problem getting fire trucks down that street.
Motion
Yeah.
Motion to add.
Motion to add? No, we're gonna make that motion on Wednesday.
Motion on Wednesday. You just letting us know. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the fact that we're ready to make the motions. That's great. That's great. All right, with that being said, may I have a motion to adjourn at 5 p.m.?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll give you that motion, Councilperson Rivera. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Saleh. On a motion to adjourn at 5 p.m., all council members present by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
We are out of here at 5 p.m. Thank you so much, Council President, members of the Municipal Council, the business administrator, all the directors, division directors, everybody that showed up today. I really appreciate it. And everybody behind the scenes, without you, this doesn't happen. And remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great night and continue to stay safe, everyone. Good night.
Good night.